In a world of ordinary fantasy football podcasts, ordinary guys rise up to bring you extraordinary analysis and entertainment. This is the FLAFFL House Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts Kevin Cotillo, Sal Lito, and Stephen Marcus.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today is Thursday, November 17th, and this is the FLAFFL House Fantasy Football Podcast. Although I will say it's feeling a little crowded in here tonight.
Falafel, we're back in falafel.
What's up, Sal?
Hey, everybody.
How are you,
It's been a while
buddy?
since you guys have talked.
That's it. Yeah, we haven't spoken in I don't even know how long.
Not long enough.
You don't seem too sad. I'm hurt. I'm very hurt. People were starting to wonder whether or not we had serious, issues, Sal.
Not soft tissue issues?
Not soft tissue issues. I think last episode I had to tell our little Steven that we were getting divorced and that we would never.
Oh,
be the same.
I heard that. I listened to that episode.
That's good. I appreciate that.
I heard that Steven is Steve's the one who gets hurt out of the whole thing.
That's right.
And,
Very
I'm here to let you
traumatized.
know, Steve, that I don't care.
Yeah,
I
seriously,
knew I
Steve.
could
It's
count
not
on you,
about you.
Sal.
It's not.
All right, I get it.
No, we are back together again. We are very glad to be back together again. I am your host, Kevin Cotillo. You can follow me on Twitter as @WallyCentral. We have Steve Marcus here, who you heard is the hurt one. He is on Twitter as @SidSkeet. We are both on the Fantasy Life app under those same names. You can also follow Sal on Twitter as @LitoSal and on the Fantasy Life app as Sal33. So, and make sure you follow the show too, Falafel House, @Falafel House on Twitter, and stop by the Falafel House chat on the Fantasy Life app. Steven will repeat all of that at the end of the show if you missed any of it, so don't worry about that.
That I will. That I will.
We got a lot of games to get to today. We're going to talk about the Sunday slate. Obviously, there is football on right now. It looks as though it's actually football, or starting to be football for at least one team. So we'll see what happens here in the rest of the game. But we will take you.
You want to go home? Want to go ahead and ruin it for me? Let me know if he got his feet down, Kev. Is that what you're trying to avoid? Because you know I'm behind a little bit on the replay.
I didn't say anything. I said nothing. I was just saying one team was playing football and one was not. You had no idea other than that.
Hold on, Ted Ginn's doing the "You Ain't Got No Ice Cream" dance. So you ain't got no touchdown.
All right. So moving along here, we're gonna talk about the games that are coming up, and that's about it. I think that's all we're gonna do tonight is talk about upcoming games.
Yeah, I mean, it's football. We're going to talk about some football coming up.
That's
They're
right.
playing a lot of it on Sunday, I heard.
Yeah, there will be many, many games. So Steve, why don't you start and take us through that?
Okay, we are going to start with the 1 p.m. kickoffs. And first up, we have the Steelers at the Browns. So you have a lot of obvious starters in this game for the Steelers and then obvious players to avoid for the Browns. For the Browns, the only player I feel comfortable starting each week for them is Terrell Pryor. And for me, this game is more about Ladarius Green and seeing what he can do coming back. He was upgraded to a full participant in practice this week and going against the worst defense against tight ends this season. They've allowed almost 800 yards and 9 touchdowns. So he's got an opportunity to do something really good. Kev, we will start with you. What are you looking for most in this game, and are you excited to see what Ladarius Green can do?
Of course I'm excited to see what Ladarius Green can do. I've been waiting for Ladarius Green to do something all season. He looked good in limited use last week. The Cleveland Browns are the worst team in the league against opposing tight ends. So I think you have to be excited about what he can do. Jesse James was not a factor last week pretty much at all. So yeah, this is it. Now or never for Ladarius Green. Sal, this is when we're going to see what Steve and I were talking about in the preseason.
Well, I hope you guys are right because he's in my lineup.
Listen,
I'll be honest with you. He had me. I'll let you get back to that point, but he had me a little nervous last week. The first play that he came in on was a 2-point conversion, and he got up very gingerly, and I didn't see him even really get touched on the play, but he did make 3 more catches throughout the game, and he's been upgraded to full. So I am excited to see what he could do because I did do a good job of retaining a tight end throughout the whole season in FLAFFL. So he's my shot in the dark, and I will give you guys all the credit in the world if he's successful.
We appreciate that. The Cleveland Browns are actually bottom 5 in every category: quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and as I mentioned, number 1 worst defense against tight ends. So pretty much everyone in Pittsburgh should be in your lineup. I am excited to see Ladarius Green, as we mentioned, but all of them should have pretty good games. I think this is one of the few offenses that you can start just about everyone without worry, particularly in this kind of matchup.
Yeah, but what about Sammy Coates? Are we taking that risk this week?
Ooh,
No.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, he's really...
I did it 2 weeks in a row, so I mean, I think I got to go for the trifecta, right?
Oh, my God, he's been Michael Floyd and people for weeks now.
Michael Floyd outproduced him last week. That's how bad it is.
No, Michael Floyd, we discussed it, Kev, when you were out crying over spilled milk on Sunday night.
I don't want to talk about it.
He just gave you every reason to believe he's spectacular, right? But then he actually put him in your lineup and dud city.
That's right. That's what he does. Michael Floyd will definitely just screw everyone. But for now, I think with regards to Sammy Coates, I don't think you can trust him anymore. I think he's out of your lineup until he does something, right? It's too close to the playoffs for fantasy. It's too close to a lot of people struggling trying to get in. I don't think you can take that chance. Pretty much any option, in my opinion, is a better option right now.
Yep, I would have to agree with that.
Where
Anything else, you guys? Huh?
Where do we have him ranked, Steve?
He sounded like Shaggy when he got scared coming around the corner with Scooby. Oh, zoinks!
Yeah. I didn't mean to startle you there, buddy. I was just asking where we had him ranked. I don't know if you had the rankings up.
Oh, I do.
Sounds like
Sammy Coates.
It sounds like
No, I do.
Yes.
It's
Kev, you
false.
picked up on that, right? The thing I do was clearly a diversionary tactic.
Yeah.
I'm looking at his name right now, all right? Number 68. We
68.
don't believe in Sammy Coates anymore.
Do not believe in Sammy
Where do I have
Coates.
him ranked?
Oh, I think you had him 643rd.
Got it.
I actually think he ranked him the same spot as last week. The exact same spot. Yep.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, not
Exact
ranked.
same as last week.
Just like
Not
everyone else.
All right. Do you guys have anything else from this game?
Let me see. Look, I want to ask you, Sal. Do you trust anyone from Cleveland? I mean, Pittsburgh hasn't exactly been a phenomenal defense, particularly when it comes to running backs. So, are you playing anyone this week? Are you?
I would say if you're desperate, if you got guys on a bye week, we're coming to the end of the bye weeks. Maybe you slip Crowell in there because they really are bottom 3, I believe, in defending running backs. But no, I'm
second worst.
Second worst. So I'm not really comfortable with anybody on that team. Even Pryor worries me now. And again, I've said it so many times, it's not a lack of talent with Terrell Pryor. It's the talent around him. So, I know you mentioned it on the show when I wasn't here. Maybe when RG3 comes back, if he gets back, some of the downfield stuff. But right now, I really would just look elsewhere for teams that are going to be more competitive.
I cannot argue with that. Kev, anymore?
Nope.
Sal, anymore?
Move it along, son.
Will do then. We are going to talk about the Ravens and the Cowboys, 1 p.m. This seems like a trap game to me. I think the Ravens are going to go into Dallas and win this game for some reason. Dennis Pitta for me, guy I've loved for all season long. He's in my doghouse. He is becoming, dare I say, a fizzle because he's just not producing even in PPR.
Don't go throwing around the fizzle too much because it just won't be special anymore.
Yeah, don't over fizzle.
You don't want to overfizzle. That's bad.
That's true. All right.
Bad news.
All right. Well, I'll take it back then. I won't. He's not quite there yet, but I mean, even in PPR last week, he had the 6 catches, but for 26 yards is absolutely terrible. For Dallas, I think you're just about starting everybody. The only guy I would caution against would be Jason Witten. The Ravens are 3rd against tight ends, have only allowed 1 touchdown to the position all season. So, Sal, we'll start with you this time. What are you looking at? What kind of matchups are you liking from this game?
So I actually threw Dennis Pitta in one of my DraftKings lineups already for this weekend. So I'm hoping that he, goes in the right direction this week. What more can you say over here about Dallas? It's going to be the Ezekiel Elliott show, I'm sure, again. I know the Ravens aren't terrible at defending the run, but this guy's come out and done it against everybody. That he sometimes comes to that line completely untouched for 70-plus yards, and it's just been a phenomenon. So I'm expecting more of the same from
Ravens. Actually, second best in the league, Sal. Only giving up 13.2 points per game, just 0.2 points per game higher than the Cardinals. Just throwing that out there.
So you're saying they're good? So you're saying they're good at it?
I'm saying they're pretty good.
I'll say Zeke, 100 yards and a touchdown still.
100 and a touchdown. Ravens. No kidding.
100 of the touchdown because he doesn't get touched, Kevin.
Yeah,
done against a line like this.
That's true. Interestingly enough, the one other thing that I find very interesting about this game is that Baltimore has won every single matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. All time.
Interesting.
So you're saying they do?
They're 4-0.
People say
the Ravens are 4-0 all time against the Cowboys, dating back to 2000, obviously. Right,
because we all know that what happened in 2000 when Ray Lewis was playing matters.
I mean, it's only 4 matchups, but every 4 years they win. So, just throwing it out there, it's something interesting for me.
I know. I said a few weeks back that the Ravens were phonies, and that they are sitting in first place right now at 5-3 or 5-4 in that division?
They're 5-4.
Yeah, it's sitting at the top, and I said on record they will not be above 500 when the season's over. I stand by that. They are not a real team to me. Very, very phony.
Phony. Kev, would you say that this will be the week that Kenneth Dixon makes the transition over Terrence West and really takes a stranglehold of that starting job?
I would love to say that he would, and I think he probably will will get more touches than Terrence West will, but not the defense to do it against. Dallas is 28th. Giving up 28th most running points to running backs this year at 14.9. So they're a couple of spots ahead of Baltimore there. So they're just as difficult to run against. And I think we both know that, or all know, since there's 3 of us here tonight, I think we all know that Baltimore's offensive line is not what Dallas's offensive line is, because really there's no offensive line like Dallas in the league. So. I think it's going to be tough sledding. I don't expect a ton out of either guy, but I do think you'll see Dixon a little bit more active and involved than Terrence West this week.
And I'll let you guys know that I am coming over to your side. Terrence West has not done with the job what I would hope that he would have done. He has not taken advantage of the opportunity, and he's given them every reason to start to turn to Dixon. So I agree that within the next couple of weeks, and most likely during the fantasy playoff run, you'll be seeing Dixon as the lead guy in that backfield.
Do you believe that the Ravens have 2 startable wide receivers every single week in Mike Wallace and Steve Smith, Sal?
Yes. Startable, I think they're both wide receiver 2s. I don't think either one of them is a wide receiver 1. But, yeah, I think that both of them are startable on a weekly basis. They're low-end wide receiver 2s.
I would agree. Kev, anything else from this game before we roll on?
I'm curious, Steve, what you think about Dez Bryant in this one.
Oh, I like me some Dez Bryant. I'm a big fan.
You have him at 6th overall. I had him at 17th, so we had a little bit of a difference there.
Yes. I think that things are starting to come together for him and Dak. I think that the offense, the way that it's working, just Dez is becoming a piece of it. And just the way that he looked against Pittsburgh last week, he's always got that big playability. And I just think that is the comfort level is getting up there. I'm not worried about the Ravens defense. And like I said, I think that the Ravens are actually going to win this game. So I think that the Cowboys are going to have to throw a little bit. And so, I do like Dez. I think he's back up into wide receiver 1 range every week for me.
Yeah, I think the one problem I have with Dez this week, and the reason I probably am a little too low on him, need to adjust it a little bit. But the one thing I do think is this is going to be a complete and total ball control game. I think both teams are, even though they are difficult run defenses, I think both teams are going to try and run the ball and slow the game down and keep the clock on their side. I think the only way to beat Dallas is to win the time of possession battle, and I think that's what what both teams know, and they're going to try to control that.
That's been a problem for me a lot of times in my life.
Interesting.
We can just move on.
Briefs.
Control. I'm talking about.
we can just move on.
You guys don't want to discuss ball control.
I think we all knew where you were going. I think we should just. It sounds a little rusty.
I'm just saying. Oh, never planned any one of those 3 kids. I don't know.
Oh man.
Tell me she's pregnant.
Oh man. All right. Please move on.
All right. Jaguars and the Lions, another 1 p.m. kickoff. Maybe it's just because I want it to happen, but I actually think this could be the week that Blake Bortles plays so bad that he might get benched. We have Detroit ranking in the bottom half against quarterbacks at 13 in the last 5 weeks, but they are in the top half against wide receivers and running backs. So I think that the Lions come out of this bye ready to go, and I think they trounce on the Jaguars. For Detroit, I think you have your usual suspects for them. Sal, we'll start with you on this one. What are you looking at for this game? What kind of matchups do you like here?
Well, as a Stafford owner and a Stafford lover, I'm looking forward to seeing him out there, and also what? No?
What?
And Riddick. I think that you'll start to see Tate start to take over the position a little bit more this week from Marvin Jones. Each week he creeps closer to being the wide receiver 1 in this offense. I saw some people asking today, Eric Ebron or so-and-so, and I don't think this is a great matchup for Ebron this week. But then I looked and saw that last week they gave up 2 receiving touchdowns to tight ends Jacksonville. So he might be a sneaky play. Kevin tried to talk me down from Kelsey a couple weeks ago when they were going against Jacksonville, and I fought him on it. But might be a sneaky play this week to get Ebron in your lineup. Looking at Bortles, he's quarterback number, Kevin?
Bortles would be quarterback number. I don't have that in front of me. Sorry.
I have him at 7. I figured Kevin was at the ready with these things.
No, I apologize.
He told me I was rusty. So Bortles is
I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what you're going to say.
I want you to give me Bortles. So I don't think he's getting benched. And I know that fantasy football and reality football are not the same thing, but just who are they going to, Steve? I don't think that they really feel like they have a better option right now. Maybe he's not back next year, but I think Bortles plays every game the rest of the season. And this is the type of game where maybe Detroit does get up early, and then garbage time city, here we come, just like he did last week with Allen Robinson late in the fourth quarter. So
is it though? Do you actually trust the Lions offense to get up early, or is this going to be a game that kind of struggles through the whole way?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a big point differential. We'll have to fight back from it, but I think that Detroit will probably control the game, and Jacksonville will have to make a run late. And this is not a good pass defense in Detroit. So I like Bortles this week.
And half the time, it's not even the Lions having to get up early. Blake Bortles provides half the offense for the other team anyway. With all the pick sixes that he throws, he deserves to be benched. It sucks. You see other players get benched, and Blake Bortles has done everything and more to deserve to be benched. And you're right. They don't have anybody behind him, so they don't have any other options. But at least, show him what's up. Put him on the bench and you make him realize that if you play like crap, that you're not going to get to play.
I think that fantasy players everywhere are not appreciative enough of this guy. What other quarterback goes out there on a weekly basis and purposely gets the other team up by a lot of points? That way in the fourth quarter, he can load up on garbage time for his owners. I mean, this guy is a fantasy football dream.
You're right.
And you should all be appreciating him.
I'm going to have to go out and get him at some point here. I just, you're right. I can't live with him without him on my team for the rest of the season.
Appreciate the Bortles.
I actually have him
what do you
higher
like
than
from
you,
this
Steve.
That doesn't surprise me.
Bortles, you have him at 18. I have him at 15. Neither of us think he's a starter in a 12-team league. So, there's
top 10. Bortles will finish top 10 this week.
Oh, come on. There's no way you believe that.
I'll take it.
I believe it. I'm
Right.
believing it right now. What do you guys want? Let's make the little bet right now.
Yeah, let's bet. What do you want to bet?
Throw it out there. You have till the end of the podcast, till the finishing segment, whatever you call that stupid thing that you guys do.
I want you
thoughts.
wearing a Patriots hat at some point on your Twitter profile.
I own a Patriots hat.
Did you say whatever you guys do? Do you mean show up for the podcast? Is that what you were referring to?
What are you guys plan out stuff and prep stuff? Whatever. What do you guys do? I have a Patriots hat in my home, and if Bortles is not top 10 this week, for the full week afterwards, I will wear that Patriots hat in my Twitter profile.
Fantastic. All right, so I'm assuming you're going to make me do something if he is. Or is this a one-sided bet? What?
Those finishing things that you guys do, I'll come up with it.
All right.
All right, Kev, do you have anything else you want to talk about with this Jags-Lions enticing matchup?
No, not really. I mean, I think I still would shy away from Ebron. I don't sneaky play. I don't know about that. Jacksonville, one of the few things they do well is actually defend the tight end. So I'm still not really with you on that, Sal. So I would stay away from Ebron. I mean, I think he's an okay play, but he's certainly not a guy I expect too much out of. And let's see here. Not a whole lot of excitement out of this game. I think it's going to be a ho-hum game. Like I said, I think it's going to be a slow start. Probably you might see a little scoring late, but I don't know that I really trust anyone to have huge games in this one. I do like Theo Riddick just because he's on my team and I want him to perform.
Hey, that's a good reason to like someone. All right. We are going to move right along because we are already running way behind. We've got Titans at Colts. Marcus Mariota and the Titans offense moving like no one ever imagined it could. DeMarco Murray and Delaney Walker, they're killing it every week. Wide receivers are becoming more and more enticing, especially Rashard Matthews, who we've talked about a few times on the pod now. And then you've got the Colts coming off their bye week. All the offensive weapons that they have. You got Luck, Gore, Hilton, Moncrief, tight ends. The Titans are third worst against wide receivers over the last 5 weeks. So I like Hilton and Moncrief, but Kev, you love T.Y. Hilton and Dante Moncrief. Why don't you go ahead and spread the love? Why are you so high on them this week?
Yeah, I mean, they're great. Is that good enough? Am I allowed to just say they're great?
It's good.
Oh,
it's a good start.
It's a good start. No, I mean, I think it's a good play. Tennessee Titans 12th against wide receivers, so it's not like they're worse than the league or anything like that. But I think that this one actually does end up being a shootout. The way Mariota's been playing, the way the Tennessee offense has been playing, and with how bad the Indianapolis Colts defense is in general, I think this one has the propensity to score a lot of points. I think that you're going to see a lot of throwing and not a lot of running in this game. So I mean, obviously, it to me that means start your wide receivers in particular. I think Andrew Luck should have a pretty good game in this one. So yeah, that's really all there is to it.
Kev,
right,
would you have gone with Drew Brees or Andrew Luck this week?
That's a tough call. I probably would have gone with Andrew Luck.
Oh, sorry, Brittany.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would have, Kev.
Yeah, very close though. I had 4th and 5th in my rankings, so not a huge difference there, but a slight edge to Andrew Luck. Mariota, by the way, I have at 10th. Also think he's a top 10. He will beat Blake Bortles this week as well.
I've got Mariota at 9. I love him. Have loved him all season. Cannot get enough Marcus Mariota.
Wow. Yeah, that's just blatant lying.
Before you guys talk anymore, Sal, would you like to talk
hate.
about this game?
Blake Bortles is the number 7 quarterback. No, listen, DeMarco Murray, every week they get me excited as a Derrick Henry owner. They get me excited. They tell me he misses practices because his big toe hurts or he's got a hangnail and there's some reason why he's not going to play. And DeMarco Murray comes out every week and just absolutely puts up ridiculous stats. So I expect DeMarco Murray to continue on. Hopefully Henry will get some touches because I do need to start him with Gordon off in FLAFFL this week. So Henry will be in my lineup. But, yeah, no, I think you guys covered it well. Rashard Matthews is a guy we spoke about, Steve, on Sunday after the game wrap-ups about how he's got 6 touchdowns in the last 6 games. So he's a guy you really want to be considering. And the whole offense just looks night and day from where it was 5 to 6 weeks ago. They're very, very impressive. And this will be interesting because this will go a long way to decide placement in the division. I think Houston, I don't find Houston to be a very dominant team. Hopefully they're going to lose to my Raiders this week and fall back to the pack a little bit. So I think whoever wins this game will definitely be the team that's going to challenge Houston for the division title. So it'll be an interesting game.
Agreed. I agree with Kev. I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a fun one. Do you guys have anything else from this game before we go on?
Nope.
All right. I was taking that silence as a no. All right. We move to the Bills and the Bengals. For me, this game could not be any more set up for Tyrod Taylor and Shady McCoy to have huge games. Over the last 5 weeks, the Bengals are 8th worst against the QBs and 6th worst against running backs. They've had much better luck against wide receivers, but guess what? The Bills don't have any wide receivers. So it's going to be all Tyrod Taylor and Shady McCoy for them. And then the Bengals, they're much like the Colts. They kind of have their usual suspects except for their quarterback, Andy Dalton. He's the guy you have to worry about. So, Kev, we will start with you. What are you looking at most from this Bills and Bengals matchup?
Give me some Shady. I need a big game out of him. I do think it's interesting. I was looking through some stats, and I thought it was very interesting that the Bengals are 7th against opposing wide receivers. As you mentioned, they're pretty good. But then they're 30th against QBs. I don't know how that works. I don't know how you get that much of a difference, but it says to me that the QBs are doing a lot of running on them. So I think that's kind of what you got to look for here. Tyrod Taylor, as you said, sets up pretty perfectly in that regard. Overall, he's gonna be a good play this week. The Cincinnati Bengals giving up the 7th most rushing yards to quarterbacks and have given up 2 touchdowns, which is tied for 2nd in the league as well, which is not a lot, but still to opposing QBs. Meanwhile, they've also given up 12. Nope, scratch that again. Let's try 19 touchdowns to
hold on and
passing to the to opposing quarterbacks as well. I think Tyrod Taylor has a good game. I think you will see Shady involved in the passing game as well in this one, and I think you could see a lot of little dump offs and screens that'll get him big yardage here, and that's what I'm looking for out of the Buffalo side. From Cincinnati, I don't know. I think Dalton's a pretty good play. Our friend over at he writes for us actually. Rob Schwartz, writes for the FLAFFL House. He writes a DFS column for him. He thinks that Andy Dalton is one of the better plays in GPPs for DFS this week. He's he kind of knows his stuff. He seems to do pretty well in his articles and his money making on DFS. So I would trust him on that. Just a little shout out to Rob as well. He writes. He has his own separate website as well. If you're looking to make some money on DFS, housemoneyfantasy.com. You can also follow them on Twitter at housemoneydfs. Hit those guys up because he does a good job. And like I said, so he thinks Andy Dalton is a great play this week. I think Dalton's a good play in regular fantasy as well if you're streaming quarterbacks because Buffalo's defense has been able to get to the quarterback, but they are giving up a lot of points to the quarterback as well. They're actually 3rd in the league at 24.9 points. So good play there. And Dalton is pretty cheap on DFS.
Yeah, Dalton's 5,700. I actually like Taylor more at 5,600. If you want to save money in the quarterback position, you could go with either one of those guys.
Sure.
As opposed to me, the best play this week is probably Roethlisberger, but he's at $7,500. So very good value plays on both of those guys. What more can you say about Shady? I'm going to have him in my lineups wherever I own him, and that's all you want on the Buffalo side. Interesting to me last week the way that Jeremy Hill and Gio Bernard were used. It looked like it was a little bit more Jeremy Hill. Do you guys think that it goes more Jeremy Hill down the stretch, or do you think that's still a weekly back and forth depending on game flow or possible defense that they're playing against?
I think that'll start Jeremy Hill, and I think it'll still have to be dependent on game flow. If they get down by a large enough margin, they will absolutely turn to Giovanni Bernard still. But as long as they're anywhere close, I think they're starting to trust Jeremy Hill more and like what the production that he's putting out there. He's looked great the last few weeks.
Buffalo Bills are 29th against 29th in the league, giving up receiving yards to opposing running backs. Meanwhile, they are 22nd in the league for rushing. So you can run on them a little bit better, which I think obviously sets up for Jeremy Hill more than Gio Bernard. But I don't know, because I think, as we said, Dalton's going to be throwing a lot in this one. So I think it'll be a pretty even split this week, and you're going to be hoping for a Jeremy Hill touchdown if you want many points for him.
So we're getting Eifert back in our lineups as a top 5 to 8 tight end, and obviously you got AJ Green in there every week. It looks like LaFell has come back to earth. He definitely showed stone hands on Monday night, the other night. So I don't think that's a guy you're looking to play anymore. What's your guys' take on Tyler Boyd? Does he become relevant? I mean, he dropped what looked like a easy, not easy, but definitely a catchable touchdown on Monday night. Do you think at any point this year this guy becomes someone you could be putting in your lineups?
Sadly, no. I don't think this year is the year for him. You just can't trust him. With LaFell coming back down to earth and showing how bad of a receiver he actually is, I think that it opens the door for him. And the targets are still low. I mean, he had the one game against Washington where he had 7 targets, but only 4 targets. Against the Giants, he did have the one, in the end zone, as you mentioned. But it's just such an inconsistent production out of him. He's a guy I still like for dynasty purposes or in deep keeper leagues, things like that, because I think he will have value next year. But it seems like a wash this year. It's already too late in the season for him.
Yeah, I think it's AJ and Tyler Eifert the rest of the way in that pass game.
Agreed.
Oh, yeah. All right, we are moving on. I'm not even going to ask if you want to talk anymore on this one. I'm moving on. Buccaneers and the Chiefs. Sal, the Buccaneers offense has been pretty darn good recently with Jameis Winston, Mike Evans, Cameron Brate, and now we've got Doug Martin back. What do you think about this offense going into Arrowhead and playing against the Chiefs this week?
Yeah, tough place to play. The Chiefs don't lose, evidently. They've won 18 out of the last 20 games or something.
They're pretty good.
And Arrowhead's a tough place to play. It's still a young offense. It's a young group of guys. They don't defend anything superbly. I think they're at middle of the road against running. So it'll be interesting to see Doug Martin come back and get the full amount of touches this week and see what he can do. I'm playing Mike Evans every week. That's a no doubt about it thing, but I'm not sure I'm playing Jameis this week. Where do you boys have Jameis in your rankings this week?
He's ranked 16th.
Yes, he is.
So
16th overall.
Not a starter.
Yeah.
I'm higher on him at 14,
that.
But I love Jameis Winston this season, and I don't have him as a starter this week.
Yeah,
so I think you go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was say I have him at 17. Kansas City definitely hasn't been as great against the pass as you would have expected them, but getting Justin Houston back obviously makes a huge difference. Their pass rush is going to be a lot better, and overall, I think Jameis has had to do a lot of scrambling. His protection is broken down, and it's worked out, but I think that Kansas City's a very disciplined team where you're not going to get those kind of broken play opportunities that he has thrived with this year.
Yeah, so I think we spoke the other night, Steve. You're getting Cameron Brate in your lineup. He's become a consistent red zone threat. This would probably be a good game for him. So it's Brate, Evans, and I think you've been waiting long enough on Martin, so you're going to want to get him in there this week.
Yep, I would agree, Kev. What about for the Chiefs offense? Spencer Ware, Travis Kelce. Looks like Jeremy Macklin's going to miss this game again. So what are you looking at from the Chiefs side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean Tyreek Hill, you got to get him in your lineup, right? I think there's no question about that at this point, especially with Macklin missing another game. Tampa Bay is just flat out awful against wide receivers. So they're dead last against fantasy wide receivers this year, 27.5 points per game against wide receivers. Tyreek Hill has looked, obviously with the 13 targets and 10 catches last week with only 89 yards, but he looks fast. He looks good with Macklin out. Even Kansas City has to be able to throw against Tampa Bay, I think. So he's a guy.
Yeah.
He's a guy I'm definitely getting in there. I like Spencer Ware this week as well. I think we had him pretty high in our rankings, if I remember correctly. 4 overall. I had him 3rd. You had him 6th. So we both think pretty highly of him. Tampa Bay's been pretty bad against the run as well. 8th in the league, 8th worst in the league in that category. So definitely get those guys in. Travis Kelce is a guy that I think you're going to start no matter what. Because where you drafted him and the potential, but he just hasn't been great. I think I have him at 9, you have him at 5, so I'm a little lower on him. I just don't think he's looked very good overall, but again, you have to get him in your lineup. So,
yep. I mean, he had a touchdown pass that was thrown like 5 feet over his head by Alex Smith last week. He's wide open. So I think part of his issue is his quarterback, and it just doesn't have what it takes to make him a relevant tight end week in and week out. So I totally agree there. The Bucs 9th worst against tight ends in the last 5 weeks. So definitely a favorable matchup. Do you guys have anything else from this one?
Just to add to what Kevin said about, obviously they're worst in the league in defending wide receivers, Tampa. In 9 games, in 6 of those games, wide receivers, at least 2 wide receivers have had double-digit points, and in 2 of those games, 3 wide receivers from a team have had double-digit points. So, without a doubt, you're getting Tyreek Hill into your lineup this week. I think he's going to be a huge, huge value.
Also a great play on DFS, by the way.
Yeah.
Very cheap.
That's where I was going before I was cut off.
No, I like to cut you off and make points sound like my own.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. He's been in my lineups in DFS for this will be 3 weeks in a row. He's already in that lineup.
So he burned you in week week 9 right? Is that no, I'm sorry. Yeah, he burned you in week 9 and then showed up last week, right?
Correct. I went back to him. So 2 weeks ago he burned me. I was on the is Mark Ingram dead? What happened to Mark Ingram? Just saw him.
He might be dead.
He's dead.
Oh, good.
So I mentioned him on the BSR podcast 2 weeks ago, and it didn't work out for those guys. But I did recommend that they go back to him again, and he brought lots of fantasy success last week.
Is that Italian?
Be hoping.
Is that an Italian accent? Is that what we're going with?
I have no idea what that was.
Because Tyreek Hill doesn't seem like an Italian name to me.
He's Sicilian.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Okay. All right. We are going to move on. Bears and the Giants. To me, these two teams can't seem to be trending in more opposite directions. You've got the Giants look like they finally found their groove. Their defense is finally starting to look good. Run game got going a little bit last week, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fully trust Rashad Jennings yet. And then you've got the Bears. Jay Cutler, he didn't look good last week. Alshon Jeffrey, he's not going to be playing for a little while. I think the only guy I'm liking from the Bears this week is Jordan Howard and Zach Miller. And so, Sal, why don't you talk about Jordan Howard a little bit, since you have been sweet, sweet love with the guy.
Wow.
Just the 2 of us.
Very awkward.
Anyway, Jordan Howard, you remember coach claimed he had an injury, and Jordan Howard responded, "Nah, I ain't suffered nothing. I ain't suffered nothing." And then today he admitted he had a little bit of an injury, Achilles injury.
I did in fact suffer something.
Just something. Though. It's just a little something.
Little something. He's practicing full, and he's not being restricted at all. So he's a go. You put him in your lineup right now. I think that he's a guaranteed RB2 on a weekly basis right now at minimum, depending on matchup. So he's a full go for me, and for anybody else who owns him, he should be a full go. This will be an interesting week to see how Cameron Meredith settles in and if it becomes him who becomes the wide receiver one with Royal coming back. And who's the other guy? Thomas, something or other, Marquise something. Who the hell came back over there? Anybody?
Wilson.
Anybody pay
Marquez
attention
Wilson.
to fantasy football?
Wilson.
Marquez, Thompson, freaking somebody.
Wait, we're talking about fantasy football?
Yeah,
Listen,
football.
You know what? You want to know? You want a hot fantasy football take? Do not start Alshon Jeffrey.
There we go.
That boy, good. That boy.
I got some lineups to change.
Yeah. You might want to fix your lineups there, Steve.
For the Giants, did you guys see who popped up the other night for the Giants? Name I brought up back in May.
I defended your honor on Tuesday's podcast for you, Sal.
Your honor.
That's true. That's true. I noticed it got mentioned.
Look.
So
just say it.
Jarrell, son of Jarrell Adams.
Son of Jarrell.
What about him?
What about him? Because I get it. I get it. He had a touchdown, and he had.
Here's a question. So here's my question for you. You ready? Shut your face and listen. My buddy's a big Giants fan, right? Mr. Giants fan. They ever talk about anything but the Giants when we were in school? The biology teacher nicknamed him Bill Parcells' kidney stone because he talked about the Giants so much. He reached out to me. He told me my tight end is Kobe Fleener. Should I pick up Jarrell Adams as my tight end? And I can't believe I had to stop and actually think about this because Kobe Fleener, you piece of dong, was supposed to be a really good fantasy producer this year. And this guy, and how often does this happen when we talk about him? They usually score a touchdown in the Thursday night game, not too long after that. Would you guys actually pick up Jarrell Adams and play him going forward over Kobe Fleener?
Not a chance.
No. Nope.
So you don't think that there's any chance?
No, I wouldn't even think about it. I wouldn't even think about it for 2 seconds. Jarrell Adams has
give me another week.
10 targets on the season. Yes, he caught a touchdown.
Okay. They just started using him like this week.
He had 3 targets and 3 catches for 18 yards. If he doesn't score, he's absolutely 100% useless in this game.
You don't think, and I'm not arguing the point that you should start him. I am arguing this point. Larry Donnell is in the doghouse. He's obviously been benched and phased out of the offense. Will Tye has not taken the bull by the horns and run with it.
Will Tye, who got 8 targets and 5 catches for 53 yards, just didn't score.
He missed big plays downfield. You don't think that
8
a guy
targets
drafted,
versus 3?
It's like dealing with my son. Can you shut up for 2 seconds? There's no scenario you see where this guy becomes a starting or at least receiving down tight end going forward this season.
No, I don't. Because I don't
That's all I want you to do is let me finish. That's fine.
Because Will Tye is not a blocker. He's not a big blocking guy. He's a receiving tight end. Jarrell Adams, they're bringing along slowly. I get that, but by the time he's actually relevant, which will probably not be this year, he's not going to help you. Sal
told me that, Kev, you wouldn't be man enough to make a bet on it.
I'll make a bet. What do you want to
bet? bet.
I'll bet anything.
All right. Well, in the interest of not holding the show up, we'll come up with something.
All right.
Okay, we are moving on.
Hey, just to be clear, Will Tye ranked number 28th by me, 29th by Steve, and strangely on our rankings, I don't see Jarrell Adams anywhere.
Well, Kevin, I mean, we're going to talk about your rankings and not seeing people. Get out of here. I'd have to get a microscope out just to find Des Bryant on your rankings.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Cardinals and the Vikings. I think this might be a trap game. Also, I don't know if many people think the Cardinals are going to win this one, the Vikings, but I think that they have a chance. Unfortunately, that means I have to rely on Sam Bradford to score some points. I would be worried about Stephon Diggs this week with Patrick Peterson going to be shadowing him. And then on top of that, you've got the Cardinals ranked first against running backs and tight ends over the last 5 weeks. So, Kev, is there anything to be excited about for this Vikings offense heading into this week against the Cardinals?
No. I mean, I think this game is going to be a pretty damn low-scoring game because you got the Minnesota Vikings who are first in the league in points against, and Arizona's third in the league in points against. I don't think that there's anything that you're really excited to do to play in this league. You're not playing Bradford. You're not playing either of the running backs, in my opinion, unless you're desperate because you have no idea who's going to do what. Rudolph, maybe. But I think, Arizona's not terrible. I shouldn't say not terrible. They're best in the league against tight ends. So you're not really looking for Rudolph there. Diggs, I guess, because of the volume he's been getting. You kind of have to throw him out there, but I'm not excited about it with Patrick Peterson playing on him, as you said. So, no, there's nothing I'm excited about in this game. I think David Johnson's pretty much the only guy you're excited about to start in this game.
Yeah, I think you'd have to march Diggs out there back-to-back 13 reception weeks. It'd be crazy to leave him on your bench coming in that hot and obviously getting a ton of targets.
Agreed. You're just not excited about it.
I'm a little excited. I've got a little tinge.
Oh.
You're easily excitable, Sal.
It's very awkward.
Anyway, what about from the Cardinals? You're not no Fitzy? What about Fitzy?
Yeah, I think Fitzy's good, but again, we're talking about it. I know they've struggled the last few weeks, but they're still a good defense, and a Mike Zimmer defense. I expect to turn it around at any point, and so I don't. I think Fitzy's a good play, but Minnesota Vikings right now still 31st in points against for wide receivers. So they're only giving up 16.2 points to wide receivers, second best in the league there. So
that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good. So
That's
I know
good.
Again, I know they've struggled, and I know that everyone's down on them because of this 4-game losing streak. But they could rebound at any time, especially in a game at home against a team that has struggled with offense lately.
For sure.
Free falling. That's what they're doing right now.
That's why I've got it marked as a possible trap game. I just remember how Arizona looked on the road in Buffalo and how terrible they were in that game.
I think it's a pretty even match. I don't think there's trap. I think I have no idea who could win
I don't
this
know
game.
how you could trap Arizona. They ain't that good.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Are you
I
trapping
think the
Arizona
public
or Minnesota?
Into this game would easily pick Arizona to win this game with how the Vikings have looked the last 4 weeks.
I agree. I pick
what's
Arizona
the spread,
to
Mr.
win.
Gambler?
What?
Did you say
What's the spread?
member of NAMBLA? What?
Mr. Gambler, what's the spread? You're a gambling expert. What is the spread?
Vikings -2.
Vikings.
So they're favorite.
So they're favorite. It's barely over a pick'em, and you're getting 3 points for at home, right? So isn't that what you always tell me?
Yep, you get automatic 3 for at home, so they are, they like Arizona a little bit more.
Right.
So you're right, but it wouldn't be surprising, I guess. With how the Vikings have played, I think a lot of people would assume that the Cardinals would go in there and win.
Do you have all the lines in front of you, or are you able to pull up the over/under on that game, or no?
Yes, it is 40.
So 40
low.
points. That is
very low.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So that tells you what they think is going to happen in this game, right? I mean,
exactly.
Nothing.
I'm taking the over.
I tell you, when you see a game like that, when you see a number like that makes you stop and go like, whoa, that's way too low. That's when you go, okay, well, I'm going to go lower. Because
it's going to be lower.
that low for a reason.
Yeah.
Lower, Bob.
13-10.
Okay.
Yeah, it does have the earmarks of a game like that, Kevin. But obviously you're going to get David Johnson in your lineup every week. There's no doubt about that. I don't think you play any wide receiver outside of Larry Fitzgerald on the Arizona side, and over in Minnesota, the only other guy I look to besides Diggs is Kyle Rudolph.
There is no one else.
There's not even Kyle Rudolph, so
he's there sometimes.
He's there sometimes. I have him.
He's around.
I have him 23rd this week.
He's got a home there.
Kyle Rudolph is a tight end 1.
Not this week.
No, that's according to your poo-poo rankings, but I'm saying. Hey, I happen to have the tight end rankings open in front of me, Kev, and I noticed that Will Tye is 35th after 9 games, and in 46th place after only 4 games is Jarrell Adams.
Right.
And Jarrell Adams has 1 more touchdown on the season than the 0 that Will Tye has.
Yep.
So I'm all up inside of this bet. I can't wait. I can't wait to make
What is the actual bet? Are we doing rest of season or what?
Rest of season from this week.
So week 11 out?
Yep.
All right.
I want the week that Adam scored the touchdown, Dan.
By the way, your Kyle Rudolph. Arizona Cardinals are averaging 2.7 fantasy points per game to tight ends. Just want to throw
That's
that out there.
average, Kevin. That means people have gotten higher.
Oh,
People
right.
have gotten lower.
Yes, I'm sorry. You are very. Okay, let's move on, Steve. Let's just move on.
We are moving on. We've hit the afternoon games finally. Holy Jared Goff era begins. And who wants to bet me that he outscores Ryan Tannehill in fantasy points this week? I don't expect it to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me because Ryan Tannehill is not great. I can't rank him higher because he's never played. Just don't want to see it. And do you think this does anything for the Rams at all, Kev? Anything?
Probably not, but I'm curious to see what it does. I mean, obviously anytime you bring in a new quarterback, there could be changes. Not that I think they're going to produce much better overall, but there could be, different favorites right now, right? Obviously, Case Keenum has developed a rapport with Kenny Britt and been able to get him the ball on a pretty consistent basis. You bring in a new quarterback, that might go away. So what I'm really intrigued by, or at least going to be paying attention to here, is does that continue? Is Kenny Britt still the main focus in the receiving game, or does it switch to a guy like Tavon Austin? Do they do more plays with Tavon Austin out of the backfield to try and open things up a little bit or take some of the pressure off the rookie? And I think ultimately we can probably all agree though that it is still not going to help Todd Gurley.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's sad. That makes me sad. Sal, does that make you sad?
A little bit, because I answered a question earlier and it was choose 3 out of these 4, and the guy I chose to sit was Todd Gurley, and there weren't people ahead of him that you would really have typically thought would have been in that position. But it's time. It looks ugly.
It is very ugly right now.
And I would take that. I'm taking a lot of bets tonight, right? But I would take Tannehill because Miami's defense has played really, really well lately, and I think that they're going to come in and. This is the streaming defense of the week, because with the rookie quarterback making his first start, there's going to be turnovers, there's going to be confusion, there's going to be a lot of mistakes, and I think Miami comes in and wins this game easily. And I think Tannehill has a nice game. I know you can't rank him higher because you're scared. It's okay.
I'm starting Jared Goff in a league this week.
That's pretty sad.
I'll tell you what, it is sad. And I'm lucky that I even get to, because last week I didn't get to start a second quarterback because that's how many were available on the wire. So luckily Jared Goff was promoted to starter this week, and I was able to snag him off the waiver wire and have a second quarterback for this week. So, I'm hoping that he goes off. That would be awesome. Does anyone else want to talk about this game at all?
Who's playing?
Look, I would just say that I don't think it's a great matchup for Jarvis Landry, and I think that his horrible season continues in this one, so I would be weary of him, and I think that that's about it.
I told somebody start Willie Snead over Jarvis Landry this week.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Jarvis Landry is such a talented wide receiver, and he is just being wasted. I hope that they somehow trade him to the Patriots or lose him to the Patriots, and he becomes the next.
What? There's 31 other teams out there, Kevin.
Hey,
the world does not revolve around.
There is a history of guys going from the Dolphins to the Patriots and performing.
Who?
Wes Welker being the most notable. For
That's
that
the
same
history?
role.
Yeah, is there another one?
One guy?
Yeah, that's a long history. That's it.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's short.
It's pretty good.
It's nice.
It's very nice.
Did you just call Wes Welker short?
Oh,
it's not factually incorrect.
That's offensive.
All right. We're not going to talk about this one anymore. We're going to talk about the Patriots.
Yeah.
And the 49ers. This game opened at 14.
Wait, are you sure the 49ers are actually going to play in this one, or?
They're going to be there.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure they're not going to play.
This game opened at Patriots minus 14 on the road and has been bet down to the Patriots minus 13. I don't care if this number was at 17. I think I would take the Patriots. I think coming off the loss against Seattle last Sunday night, I think you're going to get angry Tom Brady, and he is going to throw all over San Francisco. And so, Kev, why don't you go ahead, talk about your Patriots for a little bit and what you expect from them this week.
Yeah, I actually have Tom Brady second overall in the quarterback rankings. You had him at first. So, and the reason for that is more just a result of how terrible San Francisco is against the run. I don't think you can. I don't think you can ignore the fact that they have given up 29 points per game to opposing running backs in fantasy. They have given up 13 touchdowns. They have given up over 1,400 yards on the ground and another 272 through the air, which means this isn't a LeGarrette Blount game all the way. He had 3 touchdowns last week, but overall, the 3 touchdowns kind of helped the game along for him, I think. But in this game, they will, you don't have to do anything but run. And obviously, if you give the Patriots a window like that, they're going to take it. So I would expect to see a lot of LeGarrette Blount. I think you'll see a lot of just running in general. So James White, you'll see a little bit. You'll see Dion Lewis mixed in this game, in my opinion. Sal hates him this week, which I get. I completely understand waiting to see what he does before you get him back in the lineup. But this is just such a sweet matchup for the running game. Again, I don't know how Brady goes another game. If Brady goes another game without a touchdown, but I still like him in this matchup. But they're going to run. There's just no question about it.
Right, they run. They are terrible against the run, but they're not that bad against pass catching running backs. So while I do like White in this game because I think he'll be much more involved, I just don't think it's a wise idea to even get Dion Lewis off of your bench. But not everybody has that option. We play in deep leagues, or you play in leagues where it's desperate and you're hoping to hit on that play. So I understand it from that standpoint. But I would get my Patriots in my lineup if I had them. Do you think that Hogan or Bennett are big plays this week, Kevin?
I think Bennett, obviously, if Gronk's out, I think he's a good play this week. San Francisco comes in pretty terrible against the tight end as well. What are they ranked? Bear with me for a second here while I look that up. Was 16th, or no, I'm sorry, 19th. So not as bad as I thought, but with Gronk out, they're gonna use Bennett quite a bit. So I would expect to see him have a pretty good game. I don't know about Hogan. Again, I think they're going to run more and control the clock, so you'll see short passes. I think Edelman's not a bad play, but Hogan just, if you have to take a shot, they're probably going to score a lot, but I don't know how many deep throws you're going to see.
Hey, Steve, is there any scenario where you start a person wearing a 49ers uniform this week?
Yeah. People get desperate, man. People get desperate. Colin Kaepernick hasn't been a terrible option for a streaming quarterback if you've needed one. I believe he had over 17 points last week. So he's an option. And then Carlos Hyde, him coming back, even though he was terrible last week at 13 carries for 14 yards. That's it's embarrassing, really. But he gets used a lot. And so I think that earlier in the season, they were using him even in blowout situations. He was still getting some run. So I can see Carlos Hyde being started. We've got him ranked as an RB2. So other than that, though, I wouldn't be putting anybody in my lineup, not even close. So is there any? Are we going to move on? Are we going to go?
Yeah, there's yeah. I don't think there's anything else we could talk about here.
All right, and what I'm guessing is supposed to be the game of the week for the afternoon. We've got the Eagles at the Seahawks, 4:25. Well, it's certainly not going to be the other two games, so it's got to be this one. I think this one's going to get a little ugly, actually, in favor of the Seahawks. I think they've really turned a corner like they typically do in November, and I really think they're going to put it to the Eagles. I think all the focus is going to be on the return of Thomas Rawls and how that affects CJ Prosise. So, Sal, what are you thinking about how the running backs are going to be used in Seattle?
Yeah, I think that at least for one more week, it's the CJ Prosise show. Rawls, I think he'll be eased in. He'll get some early down work. But Prosise had about 150 total yards last week, so even in standard leagues, he was really, really effective. He did get stopped on a goal line carry, so if they get inside the 3-yard line, you're going to see Rawls come in for that. But I think for one more week, you'll see it be Prosise leading the way, and then we'll have to see going forward if Rawls is healthy. or if they just feel like Procise is the guy to be involved because they're going to be more of a passing offense going forward than a rushing offense.
I see. Kev, what do you think about the Eagles? Are you excited about their offense, and how happy are you to have Ryan Matthews back in your lineup this week?
Oh my God, Sal, I was so glad that you went on a rant about Doug Peterson and Ryan Matthews because I hate both of them. It makes me so angry that I have him on a team because I don't think you could be excited about that at all, right? The Seattle is 12th in the league for points against running backs, and actually, a lot of that is touchdowns. So maybe he will actually score again. I don't think you're going to see anything quite like you did in the last game. I think a lot of people threw out the stats from the last game. I guess he had a look in something like 88% of his snaps. So he was used basically exclusively when he was on the field, which that tends not to happen. So I don't think you'll see the usage that you did last week, but he did run okay. I mean, he had a great game. I cursed him quite a bit. I was very angry with it, and I may not start him this week just because of it.
Well, you could guarantee that he will have a week. Oh boy, whoops. He'll have a bad week. He'll have a bad week this week because coming off of last week, everybody's going to be like, I got to get in my lineup, and sure enough, old Dougie boy will show up and screw up everybody's plans.
Yeah,
Peterson.
Such a jackass for fantasy.
Just rude.
Yeah,
it's not very nice.
He's just mean. He just doesn't care.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good at all. I'm a big fan of Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin in this game. In the last 3 weeks, the Eagles are 10th worst against quarterbacks and 3rd worst against wide receivers, allowing 6 touchdowns in that time, tied for 2nd most in the league. So I'm a big fan of the passing offense this week. Anything else on the Eagles side of the ball that anyone wants to touch on? Jordan Matthews, maybe some Zach Ertz.
Yeah, Zach Ertz is hurt again.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So he was injured most likely in practice, late in the week injury pop-up. So I don't think you could be comfortable with Zach Ertz. And he's been one of my biggest thorns in my side in the Scott Fishbowl this year. That's a tight end premium league where you get a full point for tight end receptions as opposed to half point for all other positions. And he was a guy I was hoping to couple with Jordan Reed and really help, build up those extra points. And it just hasn't been there. So I say, F you, Zach Ertz.
Eagles, I'm sorry. I was going in a completely different direction with that anyway. But Seattle is actually still pretty good. 27th against tight ends, only giving up 5.7 points per game. So I would not expect much out of him anyway.
All right, then we shall move on.
Kevin, some get more, some get less.
Yes.
We are moving on to the night game. The Green Bay Packers are traveling to Washington to play football there. For the season, the Packers rank 6th.
Is that what they're going to do? They're not just going to go hang out?
Well,
that'll be a change considering they didn't play much football last week.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. For the season, the Packers rank 6th best against running backs. So you might think twice about starting Rob Kelly this week, but don't. In the last 5 weeks, the Packers are 12th worst against running backs, allowing 5 total touchdowns to the position. But all 5 of those touchdowns they've actually allowed in the last 3 weeks. So the wheels have really fallen off of this Green Bay defense. No longer a match up to avoid like they were earlier in the season. Kev, we will start with you. What matchups are you liking from this game?
Oh man, I don't know what to do with Green Bay right now. I really don't. As you mentioned, the offense has just looked stagnant. It didn't terrible last week. But they're up and down all over the place. I don't know what to do with them. I really don't. I'm looking now to see where I had Aaron Rodgers. I have him 6th this week. Washington's been pretty good overall defensively, so tough matchup. I don't know. I really don't know what to do with the Green Bay Packers. I think you're starting them. You're starting Aaron Rodgers, obviously. You're starting Jordy Nelson. I think Randall Cobb's probably a must-start as well. Devontae Adams has been pretty good overall of late, so you're going to get him in your lineup, although I think this is the potential for him to have a big dud. and screw a lot of people. So I just don't trust too many of the Packers right now. Without a consistent running game, they just haven't looked very good.
Yep, I cannot disagree with that. Go ahead, Sal.
This would be the week for Adams to be a dud because Brandon traded Jordy Nelson and held on to Devontae Adams.
Right.
So it would make sense to me that this would be the right time for him to just go belly up.
Yeah,
Makes
I
sense.
can't argue with that. Washington are the 10th worst team against running backs. So if if they do decide to run with James Starks, then maybe you get a little bit of run there. I don't know that I'd be comfortable starting him though. And on the other side of the ball, with regard to running backs, obviously Rob Kelly has looked good, and I know the Green Bay defense has been worse against the run the last few games, but still coming in at 27th overall against running backs in the season. So I don't like Robert Kelly as much this week as others do. Looking now, I think you had him much higher than I did, Steve. Not much higher. You had him at 23. I had him at 28. So he's a guy that I think you're probably starting as a flex, but not much more. So hopefully people aren't depending on him too much. I think Deshaun Jackson looks like he's going to miss this game as well, right, Steve?
I do believe right now it seems like it's a pain tolerance thing, so it'll most likely be a game time decision though.
Yep. So not a lot else there as far as the Washington offense. Where do you have Kirk Cousins, Steve?
Kirk Cousins, I've got him QB 10 this week.
QB 10.
QB 10. He comes in at QB 7 overall for us because you like him a bit more than I do. You've got him at 8. So we are all aboard.
So
Ooh-wee.
you have him at 10. He has him at 8. He came in as QB 7.
Correct.
There's only two of us ranking this week.
Yes, the average between the two are, there's kind of a lot of doubles. It's a little easier when 3 of us do it. So
works out a little better when
sorry.
3 people.
I'm sorry. I had a problem on Wednesday.
It's all right.
Inconsiderate bastards. Hey, by the way, we told you to start Cooks. We told you to start Thomas. We even said get Dion up. So of course Brandon Coleman caught the touchdown.
Obviously, no question that was going to happen.
They'll get one more. One of us is going to get lucky.
Sean Payton, you jerk.
All right. Anything else from this night game before we get to what some may consider the game of the week? We might get sued for that.
Yeah, that's
all right.
That's definitely a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Monday night.
Cannot prove what that was.
That's true. It certainly was not clear.
The Texans at the Raiders, live from Mexico City. Sal, go ahead. That's all.
Excited. I'm very excited.
That's it?
No.
It's great analysis. And on that note, we close the show.
So yeah, I don't love the fact that we have to go play this game in Mexico City, and Houston still is playing excellent defense. So I don't expect that the Raiders are going to go out and just manhandle them. They're 7-2, but the Texans are 6-3. I'm not quite sure how, but they are. I think that this is not a big passing game for Derek Carr. I think this is a good Murray game. Latavius Murray, who's a guy a few weeks back ago, we thought was all but done, and he's really managed to come back and really restake his claim to that job. So I do like Latavius Murray in this game. If you have Derek Carr, you're probably starting him because he has been a top 6 fantasy quarterback this year, and you're going to get Cooper and Crabtree in there. I'm just not expecting a big, Raider high-scoring 30-point game here. So, I don't have a whole lot to add outside of that. I'm too much of a fan to get too wrapped up in all the other stuff. I'm excited. We're good this year. It's fun.
You're okay this year. What do you think about new Hopkins?
Got the same record. We have the same record.
You are correct. What do you think about Nuke Hopkins in this one, Sal? Obviously, the Raider defense hasn't been their strong suit this year, but they have been coming around a little bit more lately. So Nuke has been terrible because of Osweiler. But what do you think here? Does he get off the schneid? Does he do something big? I think people are finally taking him out of lineups, which to me means he goes off, right?
First, let me say that ass washer was was used on another podcast today. I made me very proud, and they acknowledged where it came from, so that was awesome. My boys over at the Basement Sports Report, so thank you guys. I said on Sunday night's show with Steve that there's certain guys that are heading to my bench until further notice, and DeAndre Hopkins was one of them, along with Brandon Marshall. And so Brandon Marshall gets the week off, so nobody has to make that decision. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't own him anywhere. Luckily, I didn't invest an early pick in DeAndre Hopkins, but I would have to really look at who else I had and what the matchups were. But to me, he's a flex play at best right now. It's just no matter what the matchup is, he's had quality matchups, and he doesn't produce.
Yeah, going against these Raiders that are 9th worst against wide receivers and 7th worst against quarterbacks just gives me a little hope, a little
glimmer,
light.
little glimmer.
Yep, yeah, because I do have quite a few. Well, I've got some. I've got some shares of Nuke, but in some important leagues, and so I've been waiting for him to turn it around, and I hope that coming out of the, they came out of the bye last week, still didn't look great, and so you hope that maybe something will happen, something will click with the old ass washer there.
Oh, ass washer. Yeah, the other thing to note on this particular game is I'd like to see what they do with Lamar Miller again. Obviously they've been making a point of it to restrict his carries a little bit. I don't know if that's the right move or not, but a guy you might want to pick up and stash somewhere, which I did in Falafel, was Akeem Hunt. Sounds like he's going to be more involved. He got 8 carries last week, 52 yards. Looked pretty decent running the ball. So if there's going to be a guy that's a change of pace for Lamar Miller or to spell Lamar Miller, or if Lamar Miller goes down, I think Alfred Blue's kind of falling around the back, on the back burner here. And Akeem Hunt is a guy that you might want to stash if you are a Lamar Miller owner.
I agree with that. I'm done.
All right, so that's it. Glad we got through all of those. It was nice working with you, Sal. I don't want to ever do this again.
Okay, you're fired.
No, it was great to have you back, buddy. I missed working with you. I miss being on this podcast with you. You are the only one that, as I've said many times, you're the only one that challenges me. Steve is such a pushover.
It's true. It's true.
We appreciate everyone listening for a long episode of the FLAFFL House Fantasy Football Podcast. Steve, why don't you get to the closing thoughts?
Yes, thank you very much for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at FLAFFL House. Look for the page on Facebook and like it. You just search for FLAFFL House there. Also find us on Instagram. And for all of the daily fantasy content that you could ever want, like Kev was mentioning earlier, stuff from Rob, good DFS stuff, all kinds of trade articles, just good fantasy articles all around. FLAFFLhouse.com. FLAFFLhouse.com. Sal.
Did you say fail awful?
Yeah.
I'll try to be quick. I have 2 things to say. One, I mentioned them a couple of times tonight. The guys over at Basement Sports Report are big falafel supporters. They do a lot. They mention our name constantly on the podcast. They've had me on. They had Brandon DePau, who formerly was on this podcast with us, but now handles all of our website stuff. And I want to thank those guys for being fans, for being friends, and helping get our name out there. And I think we should definitely return the favor to them in kind. They do a great job, and they cover all sports. And they're really not even fantasy guys at all. So absolutely want you to go look at that, listen to them. They do a lot of gambling stuff as well. The other thing is, you guys, I don't know how Kevin and Steve presented the other night. I had to miss last minute. I just want to say to everybody out there that I appreciate everybody who listens to this show and comes into the chat, because it's a great distraction sometimes from real life. I have a little bit of a situation going on, personal situation I won't get too deep into right now, but I appreciate all you guys for always being there. And this is just a great outlet. And I really think that it'd be a lot tougher time for me right now if I didn't have stuff like this to turn to. So I just want to say thank you to both of you guys and to all the people who are involved in Falafel and help keep me busy and keep my mind on other things. Thank you, guys.
Aw, thanks,
Yeah.
Sal.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. We joke around a lot about not being on the show together for a little while here, but I really do miss when you're gone, and I definitely enjoy the show. Wouldn't be the same without you. So glad you are back, and glad you are enjoying it. For me, final thought, I just want to say, send a quick shout out to Sal Stefanali from 2QBs.com. He's a great guy in the industry. That website is phenomenal. You can check stuff out there. He's trying to help raise some money for a friend who was in an accident. If you go to youcaring.com, and I think you can search for John Watson is the gentleman they're trying to help raise some money for. Just check that out. And I know that this time of year it's tough. Everyone's trying to squeeze their everything out of their last dollars because of the holidays. But there are so many people that need it a little bbit more than or need as much help as they can get, I should say. And so if you have a couple of dollars to spare for this guy, it would definitely help him out, and help, you could help make someone else's holidays that much better. So do that if you can, and even if you can't, try to spread the word of it, and see if you can get some other people to help out. And that's about it. We will be back with you for Sunday night for us, which will be Monday morning for most of you. Unless, Steve, we get a couple people that download at like 2 a.m, right? A couple of weirdos listening.
We do. KS44, one of those weirdos. Cheesy, one of those weirdos. Those guys are listening to almost right when it gets released.
KS is awesome. Cheesy's definitely a weirdo. But I
love both those guys.
Until we talk to them in the next episode, Steve, hit the button.